Hey guys, this is Mel, and I'm back with another tier ranking video, this time of the seasons of Arrow, which aired from 2012 to 2020. Um, Wanted to dive into the Arrowverse just because it has been so long um, since we've been in the Arrowverse world. Also, I'm kind of missing the annual crossover event that we usually get around the holidays, so I kind of want to fill that void a little bit. And it's almost been a year since we had the series finale for Arrow, so I figured I've digested enough of a grieving process for it to start talking about it and reminisce and all that fun stuff. So huge spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the series already, please go do so first and then come back and see what I thought about the different seasons. You might rank them differently than I would, but just a heads up because I really have no idea what I'm gonna say when each season pops up in this discussion. Also, just want to clarify that I'm only speaking on what was shown in the show. I have not read any of the comic books, so I don't know if anything was adapted properly from the comic book to the TV screen. So any of those Easter eggs that I might have missed, that's just me solely going off of what I saw and remember from the show. So that is something there. So if you see on screen, I made my own little version of the tier chart. We have rewatch worthy. The name states it in itself. We have great, good, meh. Meh is the ones where it's like either or, I couldn't care less, or it had its moments type of a thing. And what happened is really like either I really don't remember what happened in the season, or it just wasn't done in a way that didn't really click for me, or it just felt off, or it's just either way, it's my least favorite one. Plus, also, since we are dealing with 8 seasons and I have only 5 rankings, I'm gonna try with 2 max in a row, just because I literally want to get an ordering of like which from least best to least, because I can't just have them all in great, or I can't have them all in meh. You know what I mean? So that's a heads up of what we're trying to aim for today. So a lot of them might shift around once I've come to seasons and maybe think, oh, it is worthy of this, but I have 2 in that spot, so maybe you got to reshuffle some things. So we got to keep on the lookout for that. But let's get right into season 1, the start of it all. And I have to say, when I remember back on it, it was a great structure. The introduction of not only Oliver being like the solo hunter and stuff, and setting the bar of like the of what to expect. But then we get it's the only season we actually get Tommy as well. It's the season where we get the OG Team Arrow, and the flashback. You really get that sense of like from the start of it all kind of a thing. So for season 1, I would put it would be between rewatch and great, but I will stick it in great just because I have an idea of what actually needs to be in rewatch for me. But I'm not opposed to it being rewatch worthy. The season 1, season 2 though, season 2 right off the bat, it is rewatch worthy for me, just because of the fact that it's it's Slade Wilson as the antagonist. I think he is one of the greatest antagonist that Oliver ever had, because not only was he his former mentor and his former friend, but he really put that duality of like, you can't just kill the bad guy because he is your friend and because you have this connection between them. But then it was also heartbreaking to see how very divided Oliver and Slade's relationship ended up being. So there was that element there. It also introduced the Flash in this season as well. We also got to see Felicity being a series regular, and this is the season where it really did that whole will they, won't they thing between Felicity. I really also love Team Arrow in this season as well. We got the introduction of Roy and Sarah adding on to the original Team Arrow. So it was just a bunch of things. Plus also the finale for season 2. I literally remember when it aired, because there was a lot of speculations going about what would happen based off of Slade repeating past sins to Oliver to have to go through again. But in the finale, when it happened, I remember when they had that original confession between Oliver and Felicity, before we found out that it was a ploy to get Slade to kidnap Felicity as part of their plan. I remember screaming when that confession happened. My heart was racing. I'm pretty sure I spooked my parents because I was visiting them at the time from university. And I just remember like that was probably the first times that I really like, oh my god, maybe they might go that route, when it's like, oh, maybe it's always just been one-sided, or maybe it's like they do feel it, but they're not going to step that way, type of thing. So that one, it no matter what, season 2 is always going to be a rewatch. It's going to be one of my favorites. A lot of my anything I wrote Arrow at the time was always stemming from season 2. Like, if you guys haven't checked my fan fiction, my collection of Mysterious Smoke is set in season 2 because of that dynamic between Oliver and Felicity, and how during that time Oliver was just not very appreciative or of Felicity and what she did for him, kind of a thing. So a lot of my one shots tended to be in the season 2 mind space of our characters. So that's the reason why it's a rewatch for me. And then we get into season 2. Or not season 2, season 3, my bad. So season 3 dealt with the League of Assassins and Ra's al Ghul. And also we dealt with more of, if I remember correctly, it's Oliver and Felicity actually give it a go. But there's also a part of it where we thought Oliver was dead. It also just brought on more of the mythology of the Lazarus Pit, what the League of Assassins was all about, and then we got to see Oliver joining their ranks and being one of them as well. And we do have that two battle moments against Ra's al Ghul halfway through the season and in the very end. And I would have to say it was good, just because like I did kind of expect a little bit more when it came to the League of Assassins. Just from like how much Sarah had built it up in season 2, and how much it was meant to be like this thing that she had to run from, because they kind of owned her and she was kind of going AWOL from them. But I think I expected a lot from it, but it just wasn't up to par. Plus, also, this is where we saw Oliver and Felicity kind of like not being together. Ray came into the picture, and then Sarah died also in this one too. So it's kind of a fluctuating of relationships there. So I'll have to give it a good, if not a meh, type of a moment. But no, I'm gonna change that. It's gonna be a meh. It's gonna be a meh moment. Then we're gonna go to season 4. Season 4, right off the bat, I know is not my favorite season. So it's going into the what happened moment. Even though this is the season that introduced Damien Darhk to us and introduced the idea of magic being part of the Arrow world of the Arrowverse. Also, I just did not like this costume. Like, it makes no sense to me as a vigilante. Wouldn't you try to conceal any aspect of you that could be a clear indicator of like who your identity is? So that is like covering every ounce of your body, trying to conceal your face and stuff. So it made no sense to me why Oliver had these short sleeves. I mean, like, if he got nicked with a weapon, that's like no way that, like, on his skin, clear access, there's no way that his sleeve is going to stop the blood from flowing. So that's easily his blood on the scene, and they just have to grab it and be like, oh, why was Oliver Queen on the scene? And it's like when the Green Arrow was spotted. Like, it just made no sense to me. So that was just like a logical vigilante thing there. And then even though Damien Darhk, his whole premise, like, we see him later on throughout the Arrowverse, he comes back on Legends of Tomorrow. And it was great that way, but this season, and also introduced Constantine in this season as well. But it just didn't do it for me. Not just because Laurel died in this season, but it's just like the way that they portrayed magic, or the way they try to infuse it with magic in Arrow, it doesn't seem to stay the same in the other Arrowverse shows to come. I don't know, it just hits me the wrong way. I don't know. Then there's also maybe the fact that Oliver and Felicity were gonna get married and then they called it off. So it's like, wait, what? So it's like a more downward spiral for them too. Maybe that's kind of what tainted it. But anyways, there's that. But season 5. Season 5 deals with Prometheus. Yes, Prometheus, who is someone that Oliver had wronged in his past and came back to pretty much destroy everything he did. It definitely played a lot of mind games, because I definitely had Oliver questioning, and us questioning too, who Prometheus was. So that's one thing that I really did like about, which I'll put him in good for now. No, he's going to be great. Prometheus is great because of the fact that the mask of the antagonist, we were constantly questioning who was behind the mask. Damien Dark, we don't have that. Ra's al Ghul, we don't have that. Slade, we don't have that. And then with the Dark Archer, we do have that until it was revealed in season 1 that was Michael Merlin. But it was the constant question of who could be under the hood. And Prometheus, we really had that. They're like I was talking about how like you'd want to conceal as much of the person's identity as possible. With Oliver, you can't really do that because we do have to see that it's Steve and Amell underneath the hood to be Oliver. But with Prometheus, everything was completely covered. So we didn't know if it was a man, if it was a woman, if he had a certain bone structure that maybe we could recognize in characters unmasked that we had seen before. So with Prometheus, there was always that question of like, who could it be? Which I really love because it always keeps us guessing just as much as it keeps the characters guessing. So that's something there. But then also have a tie back that he was trying to pretty much bring back Oliver's past and pretty much have him be like, wait, like kind of constantly questioning his whole route to being a vigilante. I thought that was pretty good. Not binge watch worthy yet, but it's great up there. So I'll give it at that. Plus, he pretty much destroyed Lian Yu. Plus, season 5 also marks the end of the flashbacks storyline because Oliver was away for 5 years, so naturally they would end with the end of season 5. So that's something there. So let's move on to season 6. Season 6. If I remember correctly, let me check my chart. Season 6, we had Oliver being queen. We also had the whole Caden James and his criminal gang, like the introduction of Ricardo Diaz. I think season 6 is where we got to meet we had Black Siren coming over here from Flash when she came in during, I think, season 2 over there. So there's that. It's more like the crime organization kind of teaming up against Oliver being the mayor. So there's that. With that being said, though, I have to give it a good. Out of all of what I've done, I have to give it a good. Is it better than season 3, though? No, I'm going to have to change that. Season 3 is going to have to go into good. Because it's definitely higher than season 6. Because season 6 was kind of like, they kind of flipped it. They had it that Caden James was the majority criminal, and then they switched it that it was Ricardo Diaz for the last portion, and then that carried on into season 7. So it's like, they could have done a lot more, I think, with the criminal gang, and I think they kind of did with trying to exploit Oliver being the mayor. But I wasn't vibing with it. Yeah. I was not vibing with it, now that I really think about it. Yeah. Let's move on to season 7. So season 7 is when Oliver was actually in jail. We had to deal with Ricardo Diaz. Then we also had to deal with the Ninth Circle, and that's with Emiko. But then it also is introducing the Flash Forwards. And I think the Flash Forwards is what did it for me in season 7. So I'm going to have to put them up on good because of that. Just because it was very interesting to get the Flash Forwards and how that storyline was falling apart and trying to figure out, okay, what happened in the present that affected the future kind of a thing. And then just seeing William being grown up and then getting introduced to Mia was just something as well. It was very interesting also just to see another part of Oliver's past coming back to haunt him in a way that like he really had he didn't really have any effect on Emiko. It was more of his father's past coming back to haunt him. It was very interesting how they introduced that, and it just really made Oliver's family history a lot more complicated. So I'll give it at that. Now, final season. Final season is season 8. I will have to say it is rewatch worthy. And the reason why I'm going to put it there is just because of the fact all of season 8 is pretty much Oliver preparing for the big crisis of Infinite Earths. But also in doing this, in the 10 episodes that they had, it was a lot of callbacks to the show itself, which I really enjoyed. Having to see many familiar faces, seeing a lot of what ifs and traveling to different alternate worlds, and also the merger of the flash forwards with the present day. The fact that Oliver got to meet his the grown versions of his kids and seeing what their dynamic would have been like is definitely something that was very cool to have. We also got the backdoor pilot for the Green Arrow and the Canaries, which would have been set in the future with Mia Smoke taking on the mantle of the Green Arrow with Black Canary and Black Siren, or I guess both Black Canaries in Laurel and Dinah coming into it to kind of back her up. So it was very interesting to see how that merged. But it was just very interesting in general how to see Oliver's journey in preparation for the crisis that ultimately led to his sacrifice, but then he also restarted the world itself to save them. So it's very interesting to see how far he comes that way, though. But I would definitely rewatch it just for the nostalgia of having all these threads coming together and coming full circle in a way that a series is able to do when they have enough planning for it. So there's that, and also a lot of people already anticipated that season 8 would be the final one because of what they had set up in the Elseworlds crossover for Oliver. So we kind of already assumed that something was going to happen to him in Crisis, and naturally it aligned up so that the finale happened a week after the Crisis finale came. But that is pretty much it. I'm not really surprised now that I think about it. So rewatch worthy, we have season 2 and season 8. Great, we have season 1 and season 5. Good, we have season 3 and 7. Meh, we have season 6. And then what happened with season 4. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. So guys, what did you think about what do you think about my ranking? Did any of what I said made sense to you? What is your own ranking for the seasons? Let me know in the comments down below. I really like to know what your most recommended season of Arrow would be. Like, what is the one you would tell people to go watch? For me, it's probably going to be season 2. Naturally, season 1 and season 2. But yeah, you can't really recommend the final season without recommending anything else. But season 2 for sure I would recommend. But I want to know what you guys think down in the comments down below about your own rankings for the season. Also, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and check out my other videos if you haven't done so already. If you want, check out my Tumblr page. The link for that is down below. I read blog promos, web clips, quotes, gifs, synopses, news, all that good stuff, all found in one place. Go check that out. A little behind, but hopefully on the holidays I could slowly get back into it during my time off. But we'll see how that goes. But yeah, that is WordPress count. Link for that is down below. Anything I post online is connected to WordPress. A little more organized, a little more detailed, but still in progress once again. Also, I just want to mention, since I did talk about Mysterious Smokes when talking about season 2, I've gotten a lot of comments about people wanting me to continue my my 3-parter story of A Twisted Ultimatum. And guys, I truly appreciate the comments. I really do. I never intended there to be a sequel, but now that you guys keep asking and requesting, I may have to go and revisit where I could take that, or how I could take that, because it's been so many years already since I wrote that. I literally wrote that when season 2 was airing, so I might have to go look into it and maybe see what comes to mind during the break. I'm not promising anything, but I've just been so thankful that you guys are still reading it after so long. And literally, that was a wacky idea for me. And have it be well received from you all, that just means a lot to me. So thank you. But I will think about what a sequel could look like, or maybe a follow-up to it. I don't know yet. But I'm just letting you know that I do see the comments. So I just wanted to acknowledge that. So thank you for that. But otherwise, guys, I'm going to end it right there. Again, this is the first of 5 that I plan to do for my tier ranking of the Arrowverse seasons. So next up should be the Flash. So if not, there should be a card up in case. But otherwise, check out my other videos in the meantime. But yeah, so until then, guys, this is Mel. Wish you all a great day, great week wherever you are. And also have a happy holidays. Be safe during the pandemic. Until then, bye for now.